Almost no one makes motivational videos about them. They're rarely held up as role models. They don't shout about their struggles. And that's exactly why it feels like they don't have any. But that's only surface silence. And the silence is deceptive. Generation X are the people who learned to survive long before they ever allowed themselves to dream. They weren't shaped by uplifting slogans, but by the sheer necessity to adapt. Their childhood and youth unfolded in a world where stability could vanish overnight and promises lost value faster than they could be uttered. Very early on, they absorbed a simple yet brutal truth. If something truly needs to get done, in most cases, you'll have to do it yourself. And that left a permanent mark. It rewired their psychology forever. They don't wait for support. They don't bank on outside help. They don't believe the system is supposed to be fair or nurturing, but they know how to hold steady when others fall apart. The defining feature of Generation X is deep internal autonomy. Their mindset is anchored in the principle of personal responsibility, not in some poetic, inspiring way, but in the most pragmatic and unforgiving sense. No one's coming to rescue you. No one will walk you through it. No one will have your back. So they learned to lean on themselves. Not because they wanted to, but because there was no other option. Psychologists describe it as a strong internal locus of control. People wired this way rarely blame external circumstances, yet they also don't expect the world to hand out prizes. They simply do what has to be done, even when it's grueling, repetitive, thankless, and invisible. For them, work isn't a path to self-expression. It's the mechanism that keeps reality from breaking down. That's why Generation X often comes across as emotionally detached. But it's not detachment. It's resource conservation. They grew up in conditions where emotions didn't fix anything, where complaining didn't speed things up, where vulnerability could lead to real losses. So feelings didn't vanish. They were deliberately internalized, locked down, kept under strict control. And they've stayed there ever since. Generation X may struggle to articulate uncertainty, but in real life, they navigate it masterfully. Crises aren't emergencies to them. They're just the default operating mode. When everything starts crumbling, they're usually the first to shift into action. No panic, no dramatic declarations, no theatrics. They just handle what needs handling because they've always known. There's no alternative. That's what turns them into invisible leaders. They don't demand recognition. They don't build personal brands. They don't crave public applause. Yet if something keeps functioning amid the chaos, odds are strong there's a Gen X person quietly making it happen behind the scenes. But this strength has its shadow side, a hidden vulnerability. It's hard for them to stop. Hard to admit exhaustion. Hard to allow themselves genuine joy without a nagging sense of guilt. Deep inside runs a core belief. If you managed before, you'll manage now. Even when resources are nearly depleted. Even when the cost has become unsustainable. Even when body and mind have been begging for a break for far too long. That's why so many live in a state of perpetual tension without ever labeling it a problem. They don't talk about burnout. They just push through. They don't discuss anxiety. They carry it silently. They don't ask for help because they learned long ago that it might not arrive. And yet, this very generation became the foundation everything else stands on. They witnessed systems transform, watched guarantees evaporate, saw familiar landmarks disappear entirely, and still they endured. While some generations are still searching for identity, Generation X accepted who they are ages ago. While others debate meaning and purpose, they simply get the work done. While some dread instability, they were raised inside it and mastered how to exist and even thrive within it. If the world hasn't completely collapsed today, if someone is silently holding the entire framework together, if the chaos remains somehow contained, it's very likely being done by a person no one is liking, quoting, or turning into content. Generation X doesn't beg for attention, but without them, so much would have crumbled long ago. And perhaps the single most important thing they truly need right now isn't advice, motivational speeches, or happiness workshops. Just a straightforward, honest acknowledgement. Their strength was and is real. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, drop a like, share it with someone who gets it, and subscribe so we can keep talking about the generations that quietly carry the world. See you in the next one.